Today we're asking a question: can you cook the perfect steak on a rotisserie? So yeah, you're going to think steak on a rotisserie? That's a bit strange, so we are going to need a little bit of help. So Kamado Kings have sent me the rotisserie basket. So we've got the flat basket that we're going to be using today. We've also got the oval basket that we're going to be using in some future videos as well. These have been sent free of charge as part of my affiliate deal with them. So I do have to mark this as paid promotion, but as you know, everything we do here is completely non-biased. If I think something's crap, then I'll tell you it's crap. So this is the basket. It's got several different notches for different thicknesses of things. So I'm thinking we're probably going to use notch 2, maybe notch 1 today on our steak. So first thing we need to do is we need to get our steak trimmed. So we've got a little bit of silver skin down one end, and I also want to score into the fat as much as possible, because this is going to let it render out better and it's going to roll around our steak as it's going around on the rotisserie. So once we've got that done, we can go on with some seasonings. So I want to make sure it's going to fit in the basket and things like that, so I'm going to season it in the basket once I've worked out exactly what I'm going to do. So I've got some onion, and I need to cut this to the same thickness as the steak. So I bought a big fat onion thinking that I'd just chop this in half and it'd be the same thickness. It's really not. We're going to chop it into 3 and we're probably going to have miles too much onion towards the end. We cut this to the same steak. We're going to put that in. We're going to test that it's all going to work. So we're moving it down to the lowest notch, which is brilliant, and it's working well. So now we're going to go on with a little bit of olive oil and some umami oomph powder. So that is my rub. It's completely no added salt. If you want to know more about it, then please check out the link in the description below. So as I was saying, we're going to go on with some olive oil, and then we're going to get our umami oomph powder on there. Make sure we turn it over and coat both sides. The onions, we're just going on with a little bit of oil. We're not going to be seasoning those. We have enough seasoning in the steak. Flies and wasps are really going to piss me off during this video. So we've got everything seasoned. We can clamp it back down into place. Now the hard part, we've got to try and get that rotisserie rod through the middle of this basket, because that's how it works. So the plan is to poke it all the way through the centre of the steak. So it's a bit hard to get through that, the fatty end, but give it a wiggle and then it goes. And it gets about an inch in and then pops out and holds the steak down flat. I'm not too fussed about that. It's still going to work in exactly the same way. It just means that that piece where that rod is, we're not going to get the contact with the direct heat. So it is a little bit of a pain, but we can work with it. So setup wise on the Kamado today, we've just got a load of lit charcoal in the bottom. So we're not using any banked system or any baskets. We've just got charcoal all over the bottom. It's giving a nice even heat coming up over there as everything's going round. So I've just lit that using a couple of woodies in the normal way. I did all that off camera. If you want to see how to light Kamados, then we have got previous videos in place on how to light Kamados and dial in vent settings and things like that. So once we've got this up to about 150 to 170-ish, we can go on with our basket. We just pop it into place, turn the motor on, and that is just going to go round and cook that steak all the way through on each side. That is the plan. I've never cooked a steak like this before, so if we get to the end and it's rubbish, then we'll tell you it's rubbish. So after 10 minutes I want to go in and start checking the temperature. So we're sitting around 40 to 45 on different parts of the steak. So it's cooking quite quickly, just like it would if we was cooking a steak of this thickness on the grill itself. And we're just going to keep it through turning and keep it taking it up to around 53, and then we want to be taking it off. So another 5 minutes later we've gone in again, and it's measuring 57 in some parts, 53 in others. So it's time to get this off and get it rested. So we'll take it over to the chopping board, and I'm going to check the tenderness of them onions, and they are not quite there yet. So we need to get the steak off to get that on the board to let it rest. I'm going to get them onions back on the barbecue, back in that rotisserie basket, just turning around, softening down nicely. So I left them in there for 10 minutes while that steak was resting, and that just lets the juices redistribute through the steak. It's going to give you a much juicier steak towards the end and a much more tender bite, and it's finished them onions off nicely. taken them off, we've got it next to it, and we're just going to roughly chop the onions next to the steak, get them onto the board, and then we can start slicing through that steak. And as you can see, even from the very end, it's a beautiful medium rare, and we're going to go all the way through to the middle, which is still a medium rare, and it's a completely even cook all the way through, which is brilliant. I can't normally get that when I'm cooking just on the grill or in a pan, so this has let me achieve that completely even cook all the way through, and I'm massively impressed. Today I'm thinking I'm going to serve this as a steak and onion sandwich. So off camera I've just sliced up some nice uncut loaf, put a bit of mayo on there, and we're going to layer on our steak and then put our onions on the top. And then what better to finish it off with than just a little bit of French mustard. So we'll just drop that over the top, crown it off, and we're ready for a taste test. So even without tasting, the question, can you cook a steak on a rotisserie, is most definitely a yes, because that is cooked to absolute perfection. I cannot wait to take a bite of this. Them onions, a bit of mustard. That's absolutely bloody fantastic. See, what I absolutely love about that is the fact that that steak is completely evenly cooked all the way around. I always find if I'm cooking it on a grill, in a pan, whatever, that I tend to get one side that is darker into the middle more than the other, where it's sat for slightly longer on one side of the pan than the other. You don't get that with this, so this is an instant winning showpiece for when you're cutting through to show people. It's going to make such a difference to your cooking. If you like what we're doing here at Barbecue Life, then please do subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video, let me know what you think. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.